Thank you, Butters. You like it?
You look like father.
Exactly. Wait, what?
They look like men's clothes.
Yes, but for ladies.
Men's clothes are ugly.
You can't wear men's clothes. George!
Listen to your mother, girls.
No, Mercy, wait, no one can see your sister like this. Mercy, go change.
My heavens, Marcy! What are you wearing?
You like it?
Most certainly not. This can't be fashionable.
It is, and it's very comfortable.
Freddie, dear, why don't you go find my father? Please tell me why you're wearing this atrocity.
Because she thinks it looks nice.
Because, Clara, times are changing. We're now realizing that we don't have to wear corsets to feel beautiful.
But you can't wear this to feel beautiful.
That's what I said.
How are you going to find a husband dressed like this?
You mean to tell me that if you were dressed like this, Frederick wouldn't have married you?
Most certainly not. He doesn't have poor taste.
Be dramatic. They're just knickers.
Knickers are for men.
Says who?
Girls! Dinner is ready. Marcy, go change.
Yes, Marcy, go change.
You know, these will be excellent to wear when I play tennis.
What?
And ride my bicycle.
What on earth do you have a bicycle for?
Exercise.
Marcella Elizabeth Clark, this getup is completely inappropriate to be worn in public.
Well, I'm already worn in public, Mother. I went to the park.
Were there men there?
In the public park? Of course there were men there.
Oh, how scandalous! George!
Yes, Mother. What has you all riled up?
Marcy wore this out in public, where there were men.
Marcy!
What? It's not like I went out in my underclothes.
Those look like underclothes.
How so? Because there's a seam up in the middle?
Yes, Marcy, the seam. Women should not show their legs.
I'm not showing my legs. My legs are very much so covered.
By knickers.
I didn't see anyone yelling at the men for wearing knickers.
That's because knickers are for men.
Said who?
What's all the shouting for?
Freddie! Do not look at my immodest sister.
I thought we were going to eat.
We are, dear. Why don't you and Clara go sit at the table? Deal with this?
Why don't I take you upstairs to your closet where we can find something else for you to wear?
I don't think you want to go look in my closet.
You have more knickers?
Yes.
Well, I'm sure we can find some nice orphan boys to donate those to.
Or orphan girls.
Marcy, please go put something else on so we can eat.
Yeah, fine.
I'm sorry about all that, Fred.
So, Fred, tell me more about your new job.
Well, work is going well. Did I tell you I'm in charge of the whole Northeastern Division now?
Ah, well done, my boy.
I'm very proud.
Your wedding anniversary is right around the corner.
It is.
When can I expect grandchildren?
Oh, Mother! Honestly, the things I have to deal with in this house.
Speaking of which,
Oh, Marcy, you look lovely now.
I'm still the same me, Mother.
But now you're decent.
Anyway, I was just telling Claire about Jeff the other day.
I don't want to talk about him.
Oh, he was such a catch.
Not for me, he wasn't.
Well, you're going to have to catch one soon, Marcy, before it's too late.
Don't push her, dear. It only makes things worse.
so, Marcy, what have you been doing these days?
Buying knickers.
Gosh, dear.
I've been reading all about the women suffrage activists in England. It's quite fascinating.
Oh, they're so violent.
Did you know that there are 2 Americans out there to help win the vote? And I hear they're coming back to the U.S.
I think I've heard of them.
Miss Burns and Miss Paul. Maybe they'll give us the push we need to win the vote over here.
I don't see why women need the vote.
Don't get her started.
Because it's only fair. I'm a citizen of the United States, right? Therefore, I should get a vote.
But how is it fair? You don't pay taxes.
I would if I had a job, Frederick.
Well, why would you need a job when there's perfectly enough work to be done at home?
I'm sorry, Claire, but maybe I want more than that.
All right, so what kind of work would you like?
A teacher? My teacher's a lady.
No,
A nurse, perhaps.
Freddie, don't help.
something in business.
Women aren't allowed in business.
He would know.
A woman just graduated from the New York University School of Law.
Isn't that the university that you went to?
Yes.
How does that make you feel? Knowing a woman could steal your job.
Stop trying to stir up trouble.
It's just that it isn't natural is all.
Maybe it just isn't natural for you.
That's enough of this subject. George, change the subject.
Well, why don't you tell us more about your new promotion?
Oh, so it's entirely fine to talk about work as long as it's the boys doing so? That's it. I'm gonna go eat in my room.
Oh, hello, Miss Shaw.
Good evening, Jane. How are you?
I'm quite fine, but you must be exhausted.
Only a tad.
Good thing we have coffee. How was your trip?
Oh, longer than expected. Did you hear? We just got back today.
Whatever happened?
Hartford went so well, they whisked us off to Worcester to speak there. We tried to telegram.
And yet you're still here tonight. It's a wonder you have won us the vote all on your own.
Oh, my heavens, it is cold for September.
Only compared to Alabama, Nellie.
My fingers feel like icicles.
Have some coffee, dear.
Oh, I feel as though it has been months since we last saw each other.
Oh, we have been a bit spread out on all our different campaigns. It feels good to be back at headquarters again.
It is fascinating how much things can change in such a short time. Would you believe that women's suffrage is now fashionable?
That's why we've seen such an increase in numbers.
And states.
Last year, California granted women the vote.
And Washington the year before that.
Yes, we are gaining quickly. We've many housewives joining us who before were unable.
I'm so sorry, I'm late.
Oh, nothing to fret about. We haven't started yet.
Oh, thank goodness. Oh, did you see the new article in the Women's Journal? Look, I brought a copy.
Do you know if our special guests are joining us tonight?
They are. In fact, I think that's them now. Ladies, welcome to the National American Women's Suffrage Association. Please welcome Alice Paul and Lucy Burns.
Oh my, we heard how terribly you were treated in the English prison. How's your health?
I'm nearly recovered. Oh, thank you for joining us so soon after you returned from England.
Of course, there is nothing we would rather be doing.
Oh, let me introduce you to everyone. I'm Jane. I'm a social worker and I keep track of all the politicians and where they stand on suffrage. And this is Blanche. She's our newest member and she helps us with the design of our pamphlets and posters. This is Nellie. She joins us from Alabama and she's the best record keeper you'll ever meet. And of course, our president, Miss Anna Shaw.
Pleased to meet all of you.
The pleasure is ours, I assure you. I hear you have a proposal for us.
We do.
Well then, let's call the meeting. If everyone could please take their seats, I'd like to begin. Jane, anything from last meeting's minutes we need to start with?
Yes, Miss Shaw. We need the details from Nellie on our upcoming social as we've decided it's too cold for ice cream.
Oh, it most certainly is. I've decided it shall be tea and cakes. That should bring in the ladies just as much as ice cream.
Excellent. Well, let's move right into our new business. As you know, we are joined here today by Alice Paul and Lucy Burns, who just arrived home from England only a few days ago. They've already joined the National American, and they've come here today to meet you all and to propose a plan they have devised for us. Miss Paul, Miss Burns.
Thank you, Miss Shaw. And thank you for your tireless leadership of the women across this nation.
I
as you know, Alice and I have been fighting alongside the English women for the very same cause that brings us together now. In England, they have decided that it is entirely right and proper for the men to fight for their liberties and their rights, but that it is not right and proper for the women to fight for theirs. It is the very same here in the United States. It is because of this that we propose a new tactic for the American women. Instead of fighting state by state to win the vote, we propose a federal amendment to the Constitution. Miss Burns, winning state by state is the principal conviction of this association. What you're proposing is the very opposite.
But Miss Shaw, state by state has preferred very few results in the more than 50 years that women have been petitioning for the vote.
So we ask you to consider another way.
A federal amendment would mean usurping states' rights to choose for themselves.
Don't we want suffrage nationwide? The road we take to that destination matters, Miss Burns.
Please remember that we ratified a federal amendment to abolish slavery against the wishes of the southern states.
Yes, we remember.
How is this any different?
We appreciate your enthusiasm, but this will not be the focus of the party.
Ladies, I do believe the passion with which you approach suffrage is something sorely needed within our party, but what you are proposing is something so much outside our historical approach. They are unable to see the benefits. Please, don't leave. Just consider toning down the passion. For now.
We need women like them, but we need to be very careful about how much of a platform we give them. Too much, and it could give our party a very bad reputation.
If and only if they are willing to let go of this federal amendment plan, we could give them leadership of a subdivision, one where they wouldn't have much power, where they would have to earn the respect of the party, but one that would utilize their strengths. The Congressional Committee would be a good fit.
If this is the path that would lead us to victory, then why would we choose any other?
Well, the smaller steps first. We must warm them to the idea.
Very well.
Miss Shaw, if we agreed to take a less aggressive approach for the benefit of the party, what would you have us do? Yes, we were just discussing this. The Congressional Committee is in need of leadership, but it has very little membership at the present, so you will need to recruit. That we can do. Do you have a list of local members that have become inactive? Of course. Then we shall start with that.
Elsie, I hope you're washing dishes in there. Uh-huh.
Everyone, come here. Come here. I got it. Come here, I got it.
Got what?
The job.
What job?
Don't you guys listen to anything I say?
I don't remember you asking to get a job.
I didn't ask. I told you I'd taken typing classes and then I was applying.
You're applying to be a typist?
No, I am a typist. I got the job.
Well, why would you get a job? Are you unhappy then? All you have to do is tell us.
I'm not unhappy.
You seem unhappy.
Good heavens, all of you. I'm doing this because I want to have a job. Because I want to go to work and make my own money and just try things out.
Seems like an awful lot of trouble to just try something out. I could pay you to do some chores.
You'd pay her to do chores?
Not now, Elsie.
Remember that thing we talked about? About Marcy?
Oh, we didn't decide on a date though, right?
We're deciding now. We're doing it tonight.
Well, I'm not sure he'll be available.
Please, darling, for the sake of my entire family, just figure out a way to make it happen.
Okay.
I thought I raised you better.
Better than to be hardworking and independent?
But you don't need to be independent, dear. Your father provides enough for you, right? Do you think we're running out of money?
I have a wonderful idea. Freddie and I are going to take you out for dinner to celebrate your new position. Oh, Mother, stop it. Listen.
Oh, well, wonderful. Let's get you fancy, Marcy.
I can dress myself, thank you. I don't want anything fancy.
Freddie's already gone out to make the arrangements. Just trust me, you'll like it.
No seafood.
Just get dressed.
Mother, please, let me be.
No knickerbockers.
I can dress myself. Gosh, Claire, this is awfully nice.
Well, you deserve it.
So you're really all right with me being a typist?
Mm-hmm.
Fred's all right with it too?
Ah, there he is. This way.
Ah, look who's here. The lovely Marcella.
What's going on?
Nice to meet you, Marcella. I'm...
Is this a date?
Yes, and you needn't look so horrified.
You lied to me to bring me on a date.
Don't put it that way. Now come on.
No.
Yes.
I
Come
said
on.
no.
You're making a scene.
Don't care. You ambushed me.
Don't think about it that way. Just meet him, all right? And we can still celebrate your job or whatever, okay?
Fine.
Is everything okay?
Yes, just fine. Roy, this is my sister.
Marcy. Nice to meet you.
Don't be rude.
Hello, Marcy. You really are as beautiful as they said.
Oh, how delightful.
Now, Roy is a doctor.
What kind of doctor?
The surgeon. Turns out I enjoy the puzzle of cutting people open and putting everything right again.
And he's good at it too. He's the one who took out Joe's appendix.
Boys, we're at the table.
What about you, Marcy? Tell me about
Oh,
yourself.
I don't think that's...
I'm here to celebrate my new job. I'm glad you could join us, Roy.
New job?
Didn't they tell you? I have just accepted a position as a typist.
Really? Whatever made you go and do something like that?
Probably the same thing that made you want to become a doctor.
Family business?
Interest, excitement.
I don't think you can compare typing to the excitement of the surgical arena.
And why does everything have to be a comparison? Why can't I just be happy, huh?
But why would you do that? Fred, is your family in need of money?
Oh, no, see, Clara.
She's just got some big idea in her head, that's all.
You plan to be a typist once you get married?
If I want to.
And if your husband doesn't want you to?
Well, I wouldn't marry someone who doesn't want me to be happy.
I can't think of any man who would want his wife working as a typist.
What about as a doctor?
Or that, wives
To
should
be at home, yes, I know. But guess what? I'm not married now, am I?
Don't you want to be?
Not if all men are like you.
What's that supposed to mean?
Controlling? Just because you're a man doesn't mean you get to mock me, much less make decisions for me.
I'm just telling you what a husband would
Oh,
want.
and that's so lovely. I cannot believe I'm not married. It just sounds so wonderful.
Marcy, that is enough.
Certainly, I'm leaving.
We haven't even ordered yet.
Well, I'm not hungry.
Marcy, please.
Don't you dare set me up on another date without my permission, either of you.
So, should we order?
When was the last time these were updated?
Miss Shaw said some of them were last active in the party 20 years ago. Assuming some of them aren't senile by now, we aren't going to re-recruit enough people to fill out the ranks of the Congressional Committee. One step at a time, remember? We'll get there. This one, number 321.
Hello, we are...
Oh!
Well, we are off to a great start.
This one's next.
Hello, we are looking for Mrs. Alexander.
Who?
Robert Alexander.
She died.
Oh, I'm so sorry to
No,
hear.
no worries. She was my husband's great aunt or something.
Oh.
Norm! Norm! Who was Roberta to you? Huh? Roberta! He can never hear me when he's on the toilet.
Really, it's no trouble.
What are you selling anyway?
We are with the National American Women's Suffrage Association. We're looking to reactivate membership.
Roberta was involved with that women's nonsense. I'll just chalk it up to her eccentricity. That's what we called her, eccentric. Have a nice day, ladies. Bye.
Well, we're definitely back in America.
Here's the next one.
Right over here.
Hello, we are looking for Mrs. Peterson.
I am Sarah Peterson.
Hello, Sarah. We're part of the National American Women's Suffrage Association. We're looking to reactivate membership.
Oh dear, I didn't realize I was inactive.
Oh, no, it's just that the party's going to be more active in your neighborhood. We want to know if we can count on your support.
Of course. I'm glad to hear it's coming back around. The educational drives were quite beneficial to the public.
Here's a schedule of our upcoming meetings. We would love to see you there.
With these old bones, I don't get out much, but I'll see what I can do.
Thank you, Mrs. Peterson.
See, now we're making progress. This one's next. Hello, Mr. Gallagher?
No, this is the Clark residence. The Gallaghers moved out nearly 20 years ago.
Who is it, George? So sorry to bother you.
Why wouldn't they have kept up with their records?
Don't dwell on it. Come on.
This has got to be the least efficient way to run a campaign. In time, yes, I know.
Jane, can you put those books on that table over there?
Yes, Nellie.
Blanche, do you still have those packets we made? Yes. Now, anyone who comes in here looking to join, you go through this material with them, get them knowledgeable on the basics, understand?
Yes, Miss Callahan.
Welcome to Players Place. What is going on here?
Oh, we're educating on women's suffrage.
Ha! Just what I thought. All of you women, listen here. My mother and her sister worked hard 2 decades ago to get this place shut down, and we've had 20 years of peace in this neighborhood without you hooligans stirring up trouble. You are not welcome here.
Well, perhaps you'd like to look at the educational materials.
No, I do not. And I do not want you spreading that slandering material to anyone else either. You are going to turn the whole city into a laughingstock when the children turn to rascals and the men into homemakers just so you can vote.
Now, miss, what is your name?
Beatrice Caswell, I'm sure you've heard of me.
Now, Beatrice, we aren't in the business of turning anyone into anything they don't want to be. We're in the business of helping women become more than they are currently allowed to be.
You are a menace to the home, to men's employment, and to all business. The home-loving women do not want the ballot.
Oh, I am a home-loving woman, and I do want the ballot.
Well, obviously your head is in the wrong place if you think it is entirely acceptable to bring this kind of nonsense into your home.
There is no need to speak that way, Beatrice.
Those of us who actually respect our men are already working to shut you down a second time.
That sounds bad.
Don't worry, Blanche. Those who are opposed to change will always shout and make a ruckus. But we are gathering an army to fight for change, and we will win someday.
Membership hasn't gone up nearly as much as I hoped.
It's okay, Miss Paul. It isn't as though it's a surprise, but that's why we do things a certain way.
There's always a benefit to considering a new way. We haven't tested it enough yet.
It's not like England, though.
Some things are strikingly similar.
Such as?
The populace's general aversion to change.
Now, don't think yourself too clever, Miss Burns. I can see right through your words. Although we want the same thing as our English counterparts, we cannot approve of their choice of tactics.
Despite the progress they've made,
By making themselves into militants.
by making themselves unavoidably visible, which is why I beg of you to consider, Miss Shaw, it is still far too easy for the American public to ignore us.
I do not disagree with you. That is something you will find I do have in common with our English counterparts. It is, however, their methods of gaining visibility that give me a sour taste. If you can come up with a non-militant means of garnering their attention, I assure you, Miss Paul, you will have my support.
Hello, my name is Liz. I want to be a member.
Oh,
fantastic. Why don't you?
Is that the registration?
Yeah. Okay.
A new member.
Yes, and she's very eager. She didn't even want to hear about the educational materials.
Thank you, Blanche. Hello, I'm Anna Shaw.
I'm Mercy Clark. Do you run this office?
I run everything.
How do you mean?
I'm the association president, Miss Clark.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry.
No, I'm done. What is it you have to help the national merit accomplish?
Equality for women?
Now, Miss Clark, we make it one of our highest priorities to be knowledgeable and articulate about why we are here. It is one of the most common arguments brought upon us by anti-women's rights folks that women are just too feeble-minded to be worrying about something like the vote. We mean to prove them wrong. I want you to educate yourself on not just the why we are doing this, but also the how. Take these, read them. Read everything you can get your hands on, and not just on our side of the debate, mind you, on their side too.
Why is that?
So you can better deconstruct their arguments. You must be slow to speak, a good listener, but articulate. Understand?
I think so.
Good. Now get on home and start reading, and take a schedule on your way out.
I will. Thank you, Ms. Shaw.
We need militancy to masquerade as something peaceful and feminine. How about a parade?
I think that is an excellent idea. We could hold it right here in New York City.
We'll hold it in Washington, D.C., and march right down Pennsylvania Avenue.
That doesn't seem like something the city officials would let us do.
The law protects the right to protest. As long as we fill out the right paperwork, we'll be fine. We should hold it the day before the inauguration in order to ensure a good turnout.
My heavens, Alice, that doesn't give us a lot of time. We'd have to head there now.
And we'll pull a lot of support from the members of the National American there, since now we have the support of Ms. Shaw.
Getting the route access might be difficult, but if we put enough pressure on the city officials and get enough hands working on floats and costumes,
We can do it.
I think we can, but we need to start drafting a plan immediately.
Mr. Harwell still has an elevated temperature. I know Collins isn't concerned, but you'd seen what had happened with Mrs. Morris. Of course, she had other morbidities. But I'm still concerned that this temperature is something we should be paying closer. Dr. Dawson, I'm talking about rather time-sensitive materials here. It'd be helpful if you'd listen.
What do you think about women working?
What?
Women working, you know, outside of the home.
I don't see what that has to do with our patient.
I met a woman the other day, but she's taken a job as a typist.
Does she need the money?
No, and that's the thing. And when I brought that up to her, she got all bent out of shape, going on and on about how it's wrong to treat a woman differently than a man.
Ah, one of those ladies.
You've met someone like her before?
More than one. There's an increasing number of them now that they're going on about feminism and other such nonsense.
Why would someone be so utterly convinced of nonsense?
Why is it bothering you so much? Clearly, she's not marriageable material. No need to think about it a minute more.
I suppose so.
You know, I hear women like that tear their families apart from the inside.
Really?
You know what they say. A woman's place is in the home. Anybody who seeks to disrupt the natural order of things is just asking for trouble. Now, I still want to talk about Mr. Harwell's temperature with you and Dr. Collins. So let's go.
Oh, Mercy, over here. Can you come help me scoop some ice cream? People will be arriving any minute.
Sure.
Oh my gosh, there's a man here. Ooh, and he's a cute one too.
Really? Oh, Blanche, hide me.
Why?
I can't let that man see me.
But Mercy, what are you doing? This is not what a poised lady does.
I know, I'm sorry.
What's going on?
I'm sorry, I'll explain later.
Miss Clark, what are you doing?
Miss Shaw, please.
Hi, Marcy. Why are you on the ground? Is everything okay?
Just fine.
Still mad at me?
What are you even doing here? This isn't exactly a place I thought you'd be.
I came to see you.
Why?
I've been thinking about what you said.
Well, I'm pretty sure any of the ladies here can explain.
There's just one thing I don't get. Why?
Why what, Roy?
Why all of this? Why do you want it?
Why do I want to vote?
Yes, and have a job. Thought it must be that you needed money, so I tried to give some to Fred.
Roy!
But he assured me that wasn't it. But I've just been thinking, and I don't get it. And you should hear the things Fletcher says. He's real pissed about this whole feminism thing. Excuse my language.
The real question you are asking me is why I don't want to be a housewife like my sister, isn't it?
I suppose I am.
I have nothing against being a housewife.
Well, you do a bit.
Do shut up. Here's the hypocrisy, Roy. Many of the women who want to vote are devoted wives and mothers. They just want to be devoted wives and mothers who vote. You see, society doesn't frown on women working as secretaries or nurses, but working as doctors or running a business. Now that's frowned upon. Do you see the hypocrisy, Roy? Society doesn't frown a woman working outside the home. They frown a woman having power, holding a voice.
So it's about being heard.
Yes, but it's so much more than that. A woman should stand right next to a man and matter just as much as he does in regard to the vote, to law, and all civil rights.
Equality. But why do you all need to have a separate voice?
Are you even listening to me? The very reason that we are not treated equal is why we must have a separate voice.
Seems a bit like circular reasoning.
Are you even trying to understand, Roy? Don't even try and trip me up with fancy words. Did you really come here to understand, or are you just trying to win a debate with me? Because I'll be completely honest with you, I am in no mood to have any more idiotic arguments as to why women don't deserve the right to vote.
You've got to be careful, Marcy. You're starting to sound like the easily flustered woman the counter-argument uses to say you can't handle the vote.
Get out!
Marcy, this is no place for an outburst like that.
Can't stand that man.
He likes you.
Really? Do shut up. Every time I see him, I just get so angry.
You know, Marcy, until the end there, you articulated well. If you could keep the anger from getting the best of you, I could see you becoming one of our speakers.
Really?
Work on staying collected. Write out all your thoughts in detail. Try to think through other counter-arguments as well. That way, they'll be less likely to rile you up.
All right.
But for now, I think it would be a good idea just to take a walk. Blanche, would you go with her? I think all the ladies have had enough ice cream.
Yes, Miss Adams. Come along, Marcy.
Mr. Trent and I have been here 4 times now.
5 times, Miss Paul. 5 times.
All the more reason my parade route should have been approved.
You are asking to go down Pennsylvania Avenue. That's right in front of the White House.
I know where the White House is, Mr. Trenton. The White House is precisely the reason we had filed for this route. And I realize that there is security to consider, which is why I gave plenty of advance notice when I filed all the correct paperwork 3 months ahead of the requested time frame. Now the day of the parade is 1 week away. When can I expect to hear that the parade route has been approved?
Don't get your hopes up, Miss Paul. It's really unlikely to happen.
Oh, I am much less worried about my hopes, Mr. Trenton, and much more concerned about my legal rights to protest. Have I done anything illegal?
No.
Have I missed any of the steps legally required of me, or any of the hurdles that your office has thrown in my direction?
No, you have not.
Then unless you wish to take this to a court of law, which I can assure you I am more than ready to do.
No, I believe you, Miss Paul.
Then I expect to have the final paperwork by the end of the day today. I have it! I have the approval for Pennsylvania Avenue.
I'm impressed. I didn't think that would be possible.
Well done. Is everything in order now?
Not quite. I still don't have approval to stop traffic on Pennsylvania.
Want me to draft another request?
No need. Have you been able to get in touch with Mr. Hawk?
Yes, he'll be along with a gaggle of other journalists to record the event and take some photos.
Let me remind you both that now you have drawn the attention to the National American, you have to be sure that everything is done properly. No sudden shifts in tactics, no surprises. You must maintain and uphold the image of this association.
Yes, Miss Shaw.
Why, hello, Mr. Trenton.
Is Miss Paul here?
I am. What are you doing here, Mr. Trenton?
You went over my head. You went over my head to get your permit signed.
As I told you on multiple occasions, the looming deadline made quick action necessary. After a series of delays that so conveniently cropped up, I did not have faith that your department would finalize the permit on time.
Alice, what did I say about maintaining the image of this association?
This is outrageous, Miss Paul. Your refusal to follow procedure is a disgrace to you and all of you.
We both know that I broke no laws, Mr. Trenton. Now, if you'll excuse me, I do still have work to do.
You will not be safe on this route.
Excuse me.
I said I do not have the proper police force necessary to maintain a parade on this route. You and your mob of women will not be safe.
Do I need to remind you, Mr. Trenton, that it is the duty of the city to protect its citizens? It is your job to provide the police force necessary to protect us on the route for which we are approved.
It will not be possible.
It is possible. If there aren't enough police, then call in the National Guard.
It will not be possible.
Are you admitting negligence in front of witnesses?
It will not be possible. Consider a different route. Good day.
We will take his advice. What was the backup route?
If we continue to give in to the intimidation of those in power, how can we expect anything to change?
We will not change the route.
As the president of the National American, it is my responsibility to maintain and uphold the image of this association. Blatantly going against an official's request does not give the impression of respect.
I will not bend to his self-interested demands.
Then you would risk the image of this association.
On the contrary, I have met all legal requirements. There is nothing for this association to be ashamed of, and therefore I will not be forced to change when I have done nothing wrong.
Miss Shaw, please understand, the reason we're marching is to illuminate the double standard of the American law in regards to a person's sex. Marching down Pennsylvania Avenue is in the best interest of the association.
I hope you're right.
Here, I packed some snacks for the trip.
Ooh, candy. Thanks. I want candy.
I left some for you for after dinner.
I don't understand why you need to go all the way to Washington, D.C. for a parade. Why can't you march in the parade here?
I'm going to be in the parade here. You can come with me.
The parade here will consist of school children and clowns, and they'll be parading in front of their schools to celebrate Wilson's inauguration. I will be at the Capitol participating in the Women's Suffrage Parade. You do see the difference between the two parades, right?
Well, can I go to your parade, Marcy?
No, you cannot. I just don't understand why it has to be now when Wilson is about to be inaugurated. It seems political.
It is political, Clara. That's the point.
Well, don't you think it's a little pushy?
We are pushing our way in front of the entire nation so that we can't be ignored anymore.
I just don't think it's respectable.
To be honest, if we were going on respect, this whole thing would have ended years ago when women first petitioned for suffrage.
I don't understand.
Are you even trying to understand, Clara? Because I've explained this to you multiple times.
Well, I just think you owe us a better explanation.
I don't owe you anything, Clara.
You have Mother all in a tizzy about this. You go off doing who knows what, and you leave us all here to worry.
You could come with me if you want.
And associate myself with that suffrage nonsense? No.
Take me! Take me!
Look, now you have Elsie all interested too.
Car's here, Mercy.
Coming. I'll see you when I come home tonight. Bye.
Goodbye! Bye!
Suffrage Parade, Washington, D.C., 1913. please begin.
We gathered just as planned. Mr. Trenton did indeed stop the flow of traffic. The theme of our show was Ideals and Virtues of American Womanhood. Displayed before the gathered inauguration crowd was a show of beauty and elegance.
5,000 women paraded in sections, each representing an occupation a woman may hold, including motherhood and homemaking.
There were pioneers and nurses and businesswomen and lawyers and librarians.
But then a mob gathered.
Angry, angry men.
They blocked our way. They wanted none to see our message.
They shouted such horrible things.
One called me a whore and asked me for sex.
They grabbed at my ankles and tried to pull me off of my float. I was hit in the face and pushed to the ground. I was in the hospital 3 days, recovering from what those men did to me.
I saw policemen and screamed for them to help, but they didn't help. They laughed.
One officer jostled me and shouted that I was intoxicated.
Even the children were shoved and mocked.
Despite this disgraceful scene, we struggled on, even marching single file when the push of the crowd gave us no more room.
The Fort Myers cavalry arrived to usher us safely to the end.
The police force utterly failed us. Yet this was most assuredly a victory.
A victory, Miss Paul. I am very much concerned with the image this gives the association.
The riot was perpetrated by our opponents, not the suffragists.
And though the outcome is not what we had hoped, it will give us a tremendous amount of public sympathy.
And what's more, I have read your new pamphlets. You write to our legislators to support the bill, or we will be sure you are not re-elected. These are militant tactics, Alice. These tactics have not and will not be utilized by the National American. I am unalterably opposed to militancy, and I believe that nothing of permanent value has ever been secured by it that could not have been more easily obtained by peaceful methods.
More easily obtained? Miss Shaw, peaceful methods have been the only methods used for the past 50 years, and nothing of permanent value has been secured.
On top of that, Alice, you and Lucy are publishing so much anti-democrat material.
Makes the association sound anti-democrat. We need to remember that there are a good amount of seated Democrats who are supporters of universal suffrage. This message is likely to offend those who are supporters of our cause.
It's already offending them. We just received a letter from the Democrat senator from Ohio, and we have a good number of Republicans who won't support us as well.
It is politically dangerous to think of each senator and representative as either friend or foe. One senator alone cannot change the law. We must work to shift the entire balance of Congress to the side of universal suffrage.
Miss Burns, I am thankful for all you have done for the women's suffrage, but the views and methods you take do not align with that of National American, and I hereby refuse to renew the Congressional Committee and as an auxiliary to this association.
Don't be hasty, Anna.
Miss Shaw, we cannot divide our forces.
I cannot tolerate this militancy. You and Miss Paul, however, are determined to use it.
Yes, that and the fact that you are determined to usurp states' rights to choose universal suffrage for themselves.
Maybe we could use a more loosely tied auxiliary.
No. I'm sorry, ladies, but this is where we must part ways.
We are in a fight against an enemy that vastly outnumbers our ranks. To send us away risks weakening our ranks further.
Miss Burns, you talk about enemies and battles as if this is a war of weapons and bloodshed. It is not. We take a stand on the political stage, and on that stage there is no place for militancy. I regret that it has come to this, but my mind will not be swayed.
Very well. Just remember that we are working for the same cause.
Anyone who agrees with Miss Paul and Miss Burns, you should go as well.
Miss Shaw, perhaps this is too harsh. We cannot have division within.
This is absolute foolishness.
Alice, come. Let's go.
Miss Shaw, we want to thank you for all that you've taught us, but well, Marcy and I feel we should go with them as well.
I understand. I now have an announcement I make after only great consideration. As Nellie stated earlier, to continue to push for a federal bill would mean potentially overriding states' rights to choose women's suffrage. We as the National American will now be putting our full support behind the Shafroth-Palmer bill, which in its simplest will make women's suffrage a state's issue only.
This will further divide the suffragette movement.
Nevertheless, it is necessary. This will bring us back to the core values of not only this association, but of this nation. Recall, if you will, that our founding fathers created our government. This bill ensures that this is the path we take.
It makes sense. We can't just bowl over states with a federal amendment. Each state must decide on its own.
We have a workforce in every state. We will mobilize everyone. We will lobby our legislators. We will write letters to congressmen. We will hold educational drives to teach our public about the benefits of women's suffrage. And we will educate our women, young and old, about the benefit of their voice in the form of a vote.
What's this? Women's Journal? You are a man, right?
Give it back.
Mob gathered at the parade. Women attacked by police. Hit children.
You think that's funny?
Maybe. It'll teach those women to stay where they belong.
You would condone violence against women in order to teach them to stay where they belong?
Whatever works.
So, it was wrong to hold a parade. A legal parade, mind you, with permits as laid out by the law? In my eyes, the only people in the wrong here are the men who thought themselves better than the women to such a degree that they felt they could harm them. Well, what, Fletcher? Are you one of them?
One of what?
One of the men who has deemed himself entitled to harm another human being because his place in the world is being threatened.
Oh, that woman has gotten to you.
Pardon?
The suffragette you're sweet on.
Maybe she has. Is that such a bad thing?
Yes.
Fletcher, you are insufferable.
What are you working on, Marcy?
A piece to send to some newspaper correspondent. Miss Burns asked me to be part of her publicity team.
She's getting paid for it, too.
Our Marcy sure is talented.
Don't encourage her too much now.
How's it coming?
It's as good as it's going to be, I guess. Should I read it out loud?
Fine. Yes, let's hear it.
Yes! Wake up! What would happen if the good men of this city brought forth an issue before their local government, and their local government ignored them?
Keep going, I'll get it. I'm sure it's nothing.
The men would, of course, in turn, elect better legislators to fill those positions. This is just. It is the very foundation of our nation's freedom. But women, when they see an issue being brought forth in front of them, cannot in turn elect better officials. These women themselves are ignored. This is not just, and it is not democratic.
Don't say it isn't democratic.
It isn't democratic.
Keep going, Marcy.
The Anthony Bill is a remedy to this. It gives women an equal vote. And so, leaders of this nation, we respectfully demand that you support this bill of equality and freedom, or else we will make sure that you are not re-elected.
Does it really say that?
What are you doing here?
I was invited to dinner.
I thought we agreed on no more secret dates.
Oh, no. I'm here as a friend. I'm not here to cause any trouble.
How can you make sure they aren't reelected?
Huh?
How can you make sure they aren't reelected when you can't even vote? It doesn't make any sense.
The other leaders have a lot planned.
Not more like the parade, I hope.
It wasn't the suffragists who turned the streets into a riot. It was their opponents.
Yes. Thank you. And yes, there will be more like the parade. The other leaders are planning more protests and campaigns and lobbies. If we can't get the politicians to support the bill, then we have to get their men in the states to vote against them. It's backwards.
Doesn't preventing a man from being elected. It's a bold strategy. Doesn't quite sit right.
It's change, Frederick. Change often doesn't sit right.
Now that we are separate from the National American, we will be calling ourselves by a new name. We will be the National Women's Party.
The NWP.
I like it.
Marcy, we have a lot of work to attend to tonight. Can you read the first agenda item?
Yes. We have two senators, one from Connecticut and one from South Carolina, who have both stated that the folks back in their home states are in the suffrage. So we'll begin by starting rallies up in those states.
Are the folks there really against suffrage, do you think?
It's unlikely that they are. We'll get them to change their mind.
Now, the second agenda item is about a change in location for us. We will be leaving New York and setting up headquarters in Washington, D.C. We've already procured a place in Lafayette Square.
How far is it from the White House?
Only 2 minutes at a regular walking pace.
That's perfect.
Yes. As soon as we arrive, we will begin protesting outside the White House, where President Wilson will see us every day. It is important that we win the public over to the side, not only to the side of suffrage, but also to the side of a federal amendment. This will at times put us at odds with our fellow soldiers fighting in the name of the National American. I do ask that you be kind, but that you not budge 1 inch for them. We are fighting for all women in states where there is no support. Therefore, we will continue to support the Anthony Bill, which will guarantee suffrage is a federal amendment.
Are we still against all Democrats?
The fact that they're Democrats has very little to do with anything. If the majority are held by Republicans, then we would stand here against Republicans. But the majority is held by Democrats, and since our current politicians either do not support equal voting or ignore all conversations on the subject, then we must do everything in our power, limited though it may be, to switch the majority with that of the other party.
Are we still going to use militant tactics?
As you know, these tactics brought the public's attention and sympathy to suffrage in England, and we are confident that it will do the same here.
You won't believe what I heard on the radio today. I heard an advertisement on the radio for brassiers.
Elsie!
They have no shame, I say.
Well, they have to advertise somewhere.
But on public radio, it's embarrassing. No man should hear about braziers.
Brassiers.
Mother, there are men here. See what I have to deal with, Roy?
It is a bit surprising.
Although, I bet that was part of the marketing campaign. If they can shock people, people will talk about it, which we're clearly doing.
Look at that, Mother. You've played right into their hands.
I have not.
You're awfully quiet tonight, Marcy.
Just thinking about work.
Gosh, even when you have a gentleman caller next to you.
I'm sorry, what were we talking about?
Braziers.
Really now, Roy.
What's going on at work that's got you so distracted?
A speech. I spent more time than anticipated today writing for the newspaper correspondence that I didn't have any time to work on my speech.
You do spend a lot of time on those pieces you write.
Well, it's important that they are good quality.
Don't sound too high and mighty now.
I'm not. It's not just my name attached to them, Claire. It's also the name of the organization.
But the time spent is a bit much. We hardly see you anymore.
This is the first dinner you've had with us in 2 weeks, and we only really have half of you present.
Well, actually, this will be the last dinner for quite some time now. The National Women's Party is heading up to Washington, D.C., and I will be going with them to the new headquarters.
What?
Join us!
Don't be rash.
I'm not being rash. This is very important for the suffrage movement.
So what? Why are you going?
The suffrage movement is very important to me.
Where will you live?
A group of us will be rooming together. Everything is worked out.
Without my permission?
I'm sorry, Father, but as I said, everything is worked out.
George, do something!
What am I supposed to do, Agnes?
Well, I would like to be excused.
Let's clean up. Marcy, you can help.
Good luck.
Well, that was a particularly interesting one.
Never not entertained.
But really though, my apologies.
Marcy sure is one of a kind.
You still sweet on her?
Actually, I was planning to ask to court her.
Good God, man.
This was your idea.
Clara's. This was Clara's idea. But if you're so sure she's what you want, you should tell her that. It might even keep her here.
No, she should go.
What?
She should go. It's clearly important to her. Maybe it should be important to all of you, too.
This is bigger than the both of us, Clara. Just imagine a world where everyone is equal, where you have the power to choose what you want to do.
I am doing what I want to do.
That's great, Clara. But you already have the power to choose what you want to do. I want to be able to choose what I want to do, which is not that.
Well, Roy.
Don't even bring him up. I don't even know why you keep bringing him around. He's clearly very off-put by me.
Huh. You're all wrong about Roy.
Not now, Freddie dear.
I'm not. Remember that disastrous dinner date you set us up on?
People change, Marcy.
Not men.
Even then. We should be heading home now, darling. It's getting late.
We shall fight for the things which we have always carried nearest our hearts, for democracy, for the right of those who submit to an authority to have a voice in their government.
Feminist! There's no use giving women the vote. We won't use it.
That's right, so get off your box.
If we won't use it, what's the harm in giving us the vote anyway? Really, wouldn't that be the best way to get rid of us? We wouldn't hold any more suffrage meetings, no more speeches, no more blaming you men when things go wrong. All you'd have to say is, you have the power, why don't you go ahead and clean up? The very fact that equal voting has to be argued at all means that these men who claim to believe in a Republican form of government do not actually believe in a Republican form of government. The only thing that women's suffrage means at all is that a government that claims to be a republic should be a republic, and not an aristocracy.
All this talk of republics means nothing. If we gave women the right to vote, they'd simply vote as their husbands did.
If men could make women vote just as they wanted, they wouldn't be concerned about giving us the vote, now would they? If they believed that, we would never hold another suffrage meeting ever again.
Well, it's simply an unnecessary expense just to double a husband's vote.
And if the woman has no husband?
Well, she'd simply vote as her husband would, if she had one, of course.
When the government says you must be 21 years of age, a resident of the community, or native born or naturalized, those are qualifications. But when it says you must be male, that is not a qualification. That is an insurmountable barrier between one half of the population and their rights as citizens. That barrier must be removed, and that is exactly what we are asking for right now.
You are a usurper of domestic felicity.
I would kind of like you to explain that accusation.
What do you think will happen if women have the ballot?
I stand here in full confidence and say that they would vote and participate in the very foundational institution of democracy.
And what do you think will happen when women start getting interested in politics and start to vote differently than their husbands? What then? It will be the end of marriages. Homes will fall apart. All because some feminists like you couldn't be happy with what you had.
My wife and I have lived together for 20 years and never once had a difference in opinion. If women begin to vote and my wife votes differently than me, what will happen to our harmony?
What a splendid type of man it is to say, that wants a woman to say, me too, me too. What is a reflection of that on men, sir? Instead of believing that men and women will quarrel, I believe the opposite will happen. When men want each other's votes, they are very solicitous of each other. They don't go up and knock each other down. The man and wife who are quarreling after the vote are quarreling now.
Now, Miss Shaw, is this not my job?
It certainly is.
How am I supposed to go to the polls and vote and neglect my baby?
Has your husband a job?
Why, yes, he is banker.
And your husband plans to go to the polls and vote?
Oh, yes, he is so very interested in the election.
Well, what an advantage you have over your husband. He has to leave his job to go and vote, and you can take your job with you.
Surely that would be neglecting my baby.
Would it? A woman can belong to a whist club, too, which a baby cannot, and though she go play whist once a week, no one worries about the baby. But to vote, and everyone cries about the neglect. I have confidence, Beatrice, that you will be able to vote without neglecting your baby.
The general public's pressure has been fierce against us in New York, but not as fierce as it has been against us in Washington, D.C., where our women are picketing. The general atmosphere on Pennsylvania Avenue has been one of hostility. No hostility, however, from President Wilson, who makes it a point to smile and tip his hat as his car goes by. No, the hostility comes from those who would call themselves God-fearing citizens. See, I think men know the inconsistencies, but choose to ignore it. They repeat that clause from the Declaration of Independence. Governments derive their power from the consent of the governed, yet prevent half of us from giving our consent to anything at all. Take these nations' appeals to freedom and rob them of their universal application, and you take the very life and soul out of them.
Someday we will be free, and we are getting nearer and nearer to it every day. Never in the history of this nation had the men and women a better right to approach it than they have today. Never in the history of this country has it stood out so splendidly as it stands today. And it is only after great consideration that I bring to you this announcement. The National American will once again be putting its full efforts behind the federal bill.
To support a federal bill means usurping states' rights to choose for themselves.
The states will still have to ratify the bill, Nellie.
Not all of the states, only a majority.
If we truly believe that voting should be a universally held right for all women, then we must press forward with a bill that will universally affect this nation.
I am and will always be an activist of the right to women to vote. But I cannot support, and I beg of you all not to support the federal bill. Each state must make this legislative progress as their own entities.
Your words are very divisive, Nellie.
I will not have women's rights at the cost of states' rights. A federal abolitionist amendment was forced upon the disagreeing southern states. Do not violate states' rights by passing a federal bill.
I appreciate your fervor, Nellie, and your desire to do what you believe to be the right course of governmental action. However, I cannot have you speaking against the National American as a member of the National American.
I can't change what I believe, Anna.
You hold to the doctrines of states' rights as applying to women's suffrage. Adherence to that theory puts us far behind all other democratic nations upon this question. A theory which prevents a nation from keeping up with the trend of world progress cannot be justified. And I would ask you to please withdraw your membership from the National American.
You're asking?
Only to keep it civil.
Well then, I bid you farewell, Miss Shaw.
United States at war! Read all about it! United States at war!
Now remember, ladies, we are the silent sentinels. We will stand in front of the White House without a word, regardless of what anyone says about us.
You did it! Get out of here! Go home! You are an insult to the high office of president!
We should throw you lot in jail!
Can we jail women?
You're German sympathizers!
Kaiser lover, go back home where you belong!
All you feminists make women like us look foolish!
Well, Roy, it's nice knowing you.
Don't say that, Freddie. Good heavens. Stay safe over there, Roy.
I'll do what I can.
Have you told Marcy that you've been drafted?
I didn't know I should have.
You should have. But don't worry, that's what women are for.
Well, thanks. Guess I'll see you when I get back.
If you get back.
Let's stick with when.
Yes, of course, when you get back. Take care of yourself over there.
Of course. Fred?
See you over there soon. Hey, I was just teasing, you know. Of course he'll come back.
I'm worried about you.
Me, but I'm here.
But you won't be for long.
Oh, well, you'll see me when I get back too. Here, darling. Dry your tears.
Thank you. Gosh, Freddie, is that used?
Wait, no.
Dear Roy, Clara told me you and Fred were drafted. I hope you are staying safe over there. Some of the women have left the suffrage party for the time being to help support the war effort. I must admit, I do feel guilty protesting voting rights when there are lives being lost over there. The reason I continue is for the fear of what will happen if we lay down our cause now. But I shouldn't trouble you with such things when you already have so much to worry about.
Dear Marcy, thank you for taking the time to write. It's good to have some home to hold on to. It may surprise you considering the arrogant things I've said in the past, but I truly do want to hear all about the exploits of the female soldiers fighting for suffrage. I regret that I was not able to make amends before I shipped out. I intend to do so if I return. When I return.
I wouldn't quite equate our endeavors to what you are experiencing over there. But if you truly wish to know, you should know that here, circumstances worsen. We stand in silent solidarity in front of the White House through the rain, snow, and cold. We remind ourselves, as our fellow citizens spit on us and fling mud in our faces of what occurred just over 50 years ago. As a civil war raged across the nation, the argument was made that the cause of suffrage should be put on hold, that we should instead work for peace. It was, and when the Civil War was ended, they wrote the word male into the Constitution. Did you know that the word male appears 3 times in the 14th Amendment? Nevertheless, our fellow citizens do not see us as the patriots that we intend to be, but rather as German sympathizers and haters of our own men. Even the police refuse to protect us. I think of you when I stand in my cold little battle and pray for safety over you and your men as you fight the biggest battle of all.
Thank you, Marcy. That means the world to me. We carry on as we must despite the cold. As I trudge through the snow, I think of you and yours in your own snow on the other side of the world. I would most certainly call all of you soldiers, fighting for rights that should have been yours all along. I can imagine the look on your face as you read those words, but I truly mean every one of them. If your war is not won by the time mine is, I intend to become a suffragist myself.
Maybe Fred was right. Men can change.
Damn feminists! Go! Oh! Get out of here!
Go get home! Not you here! Hey, what's going on here?
Get out of the way, man.
Hey, look, you don't have to agree, but this is not the way. Officer, why are you just standing there? These women are being attacked. Intervene.
I see no reason to intervene. It's all in the name of free speech.
Attacking women is not free speech. Intervene.
All right. Sir, you're under arrest.
What is this? I wasn't attacking the women.
Round up the pickets.
You're arresting them? On what charges?
Obstructing traffic. You hear that, boys? We're arresting them on charges of obstructing traffic.
We demand political imprisonment. The workhouse is for the common criminals.
You aren't here for political reasons. You're here on charges of obstructing traffic.
You and I both know we don't send traffic offenders to Occoquan Workhouse. We are here for political reasons.
We don't make that call, girlie. Now eat up.
We will not.
Now. Don't cause trouble.
It's civil disobedience, sir. It won't be trouble unless you make it trouble.
Superintendent Whitaker, the women won't eat.
They won't eat. What do you mean they won't eat?
They're calling it civil disobedience, sir.
Listen up. Whose lead are you following when you refuse to eat? Is it you?
Yes.
And my Superintendent Whitaker.
Right? I will not tolerate disobedience in my prison. Do you see these guards? They're here to deal with disobedience regardless of whether it is civil or not. Therefore, you will eat when food is presented to you, or my guards will deal with you unpleasantly. Understand? Where's Lucy Burns? Take her to the physician. I want a full psychological workup.
No, she's not crazy.
We'll see about that. And where's Alice? Stand up. Bring her over here. Handcuff her to this post. This is for inciting your civil disobedience in my prison. You will stand here until I decide to let you down. Is this understood? Lucy Burns, this is your last chance. Will you or will you not eat this food of your own volition?
I will not.
All right, doctor, strap her down. You see, here's the problem with all of this, Lucy. I understand what you and your women are trying to do. I understand that you're willing to die for your cause. But I, on the other hand, am responsible for keeping you alive, which means I can't let you starve. Understand? All right, doctor, go ahead.
Lucy, for your own sake, it's best to keep as still as possible.
Hand me the tube. Hurry, cardiac's in here.
Stay still.
Shut up! Who's next?
Dear Roy, Clara told me not to write and worry you, but I felt I should since we all know you're sweet on Marcy. Fred spilled your secret before he left. He's a terrible choice and confidant, but that's beside the point. Marcy's been arrested in a prison down in Virginia.
What the hell?
They accuse the suffragettes of obstructing traffic, but we all know it was because of their activism. As you can imagine, Mother and Father are beside themselves with worry. But she's like you, Roy, tough in all the right places. Please keep her in your prayers, would you? We're certainly keeping you in ours.
Dear Elsie, I was worried when her letter stopped coming. Thank you for writing to me on her behalf. Her battlefield looks different than mine, but she's fighting a fight that needs to be fought. Could I leave a message with you for her? I'm sure you'll see her before I do. Tell her I'm proud of her for taking the fight all the way to prison.
Dear Roy, thank you for your kind words of encouragement. Claire gave Elsie quite a scolding for writing to you, but I'm glad that she did. This might sound odd, but our short time in prison brought the nation back on our side. The newspapers have published how we were treated. I have enclosed one of the articles. We are now back on Pennsylvania Avenue with new signs that read, "To ask freedom for women is not a crime." Stay safe over there. Your friend, Marcy.
I know I'm not welcome in either of your parties because of my convictions, which, by the way, are still my convictions, but I need to talk to you about my concerns.
By all means, go ahead.
The southern states have very little by way of suffrage party. I'm doing what I can down there, but nothing much is budging. There are two big names in the national suffrage movement.
We know all of this, Nellie.
Hear me out, painting a picture. The national women keep getting themselves thrown into prison for protesting during war. The National American has one woman traveling the country, stirring up controversies with her speeches, and the other leader is now dead. And have we gotten any closer to winning equal suffrage?
Miss Callahan.
No, we have not.
We will win, Nellie.
Will we? Because here I am spending my youth on this, and I'm starting to wonder how much fat we really have left in us.
The fight will continue until we win, regardless of how long it will take.
I'm not trying to sound all depressing, but let's be realistic. We keep petitioning for the same thing. Hannah Shaw petitioned for it all of our lives. How long are we going to continue asking for the same thing? How long will the parties continue to be funded? How long will women continue to join the parties?
Enough of this, Nellie. I will wind up in jail as many times as is necessary, and I will continue to fight until I end up in a casket too.
All right. Nellie, go home, rest, and recuperate. We're not as far from the vote as you may think.
But there are so many states that are still not equal suffrage.
That's why we're pushing for a federal amendment.
Not now, Alice. Nellie, you worry too much. You will cast a vote in your lifetime.
I sure hope so.
The Great War's over. Germany's beaten. Say it's a holiday, don't you know?
Now that the war is over and our men are returning home, we will see our movement return to favor in the eyes of the American public. But that doesn't mean that we can lessen our fervor. As you know, the Anthony bill has passed in the House of Representatives by 1 vote.
That's all we need.
Well done, all of you. We're now seeing the effects of your hard work and faithfulness. There's another step now. Now the bill must pass the Senate, which we've been told will be nearly impossible.
Can I help you, sir?
Yes, I've come to join your ranks.
Roy,
Hello, Marcy. I'm making good on my promise.
you're really going to join us?
I really am. I'll do whatever you need.
All hands are welcome. We have pamphlets to hand out and permits to acquire and politicians to lobby. What's your name?
Lieutenant Roy Dawson.
Please take a seat. Welcome, Roy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have kept tabs on every senator and where he stands on the issue of suffrage. We will update that list as is necessary, and then we will count them all up to see how many votes we currently hold.
Was anyone here part of the delegation sent to Idaho?
No, Miss Burns, but I did hear that he didn't mention women's suffrage when he was elected, which is saying something because we've helped him get elected since he promised to support women's suffrage.
Assuming we can count him as a yay, we're still 2 votes short.
2? Are there any names in the nay pile that we might be able to move over with another conversation?
No one in particular stands out, and we don't have much time to lobby.
We have no time, actually, Miss Burns. We need to be heading to the Senate building now.
Why aren't they voting?
Maybe they already voted?
They're stalling.
For what?
I don't know.
Have they called roll? We need to know who's here.
We just lost Congressman Bora.
Who?
William Bora from Idaho. He's deserted us. He's decided to oppose the amendment.
Can we speak to him?
We already tried. He won't let us, and there's no way on earth he'll change his mind.
But even with his vote, we were still short too.
So that's it then. We've lost?
The battle, but not the war. We will march on Pennsylvania again.
And we'll lobby against him in Idaho.
No longer can we support any legislator who doesn't support suffrage, regardless of party.
Alice Paul. At it again?
Hello, officer.
Weren't you just put in prison for this very thing?
It's been a few months since I saw the inside of a cell.
You itching for more? There's a lot of people with you here now.
There are a lot of angry citizens.
All of them with you?
Yes.
Then all of you are under arrest.
Miss Paul, do you mind if I step in?
Of course. Thank you, Lieutenant.
On what charges are you arresting Miss Paul?
I'm arresting all of you on charges of obstructing traffic.
I believe we're all on the sidewalk, but if you can point out any of our people who are in the road, I will have them get out of the way.
You're causing a public nuisance.
By standing here silently?
By the sheer number of you.
Yes, well, we thought you'd bring that up, so we procured a permit. Miss Paul?
Doesn't matter. It's out of my hands.
Do you want the publicity of arresting a serviceman?
Remember, it was the servicemen at Fort Myers who came to our aid when you failed to do so at the parade.
Damn you all!
You are a natural at militant tactics. I appreciate the support.
That's what soldiers do. Support their commanding officer.
Well, Lieutenant Dawson, with that amount of charisma, you could really convince a girl to go to dinner.
That's spiffy.
I mean me, Roy. Me.
Oh, all right. Tonight?
We will triple our efforts. We will hold pageants and parades in the Capitol. We will make speeches on every street corner.
We protest against the 34 willful senators who have delayed political freedom for American women.
And we will hand out materials to anyone who will take a copy.
Vote against the Democratic Party as long as it blocks women's suffrage. No self-respecting woman should work for or wish for the success of a party who ignores her sex.
We move towards victory as we always have, one impossible step at a time. Thanks to our campaigns and lobbying, the Democratic Party, once thought to be secure, has now been ousted as the Senate majority. With the new Republican-led Senate in place, President Wilson has decided to call a special session of Congress to vote on the Anthony Bill, our very own Anthony Bill.
So, I heard the voting bill went before the Senate.
The Anthony Bill, yes.
Didn't it pass?
It did.
But you're still not done?
Not yet.
Why is that?
It has to be ratified first by at least 36 states.
Then it will be a federal amendment.
Do you think you have enough people to convince 36 states?
I think so. We have suffragettes in every state now.
Plus, we're friendlier with the National American, which helps. They have a bigger force.
Still so odd to hear you talk about all this lady stuff, Roy.
It affects everyone. It's not just a women's issue.
Sure.
But we have come a long way.
Most certainly. Especially me. I've had to grow up so much.
That's true.
I think you mean especially me.
Are you thinking of that date we set up for you two?
You set them up. I want no responsibility for that or any of the uncomfortable things that follow.
I was thinking about when Roy marched up to our ice cream social to argue about whether women need the right to vote.
And you dropped to the floor and tried to crawl away from me.
You what?
Remember the look on that police officer's face when you told him off?
I have to say, that made me proud.
It should make you proud. It made me proud too.
Remember the kid who threw up at the educational drive?
Roy!
Why would you bring that up?
I thought we were remembering the funny times.
Yes, the funny times. Like when Irene told that man that a woman could be the leader of our nation one day.
And he just lost it. Fred, you should have seen the look on his face. just screaming at everyone how no woman has the constitution to lead a man, much less a nation.
And Irene said, well, you certainly don't have the Constitution.
Nearly had a conniption.
Good memories.
I hope we have a million more.
I do too.
I want to always be on your team, Marcy. Support you in any endeavor you wish to pursue.
I want to support yours too.
Well then. Will you marry me, Marcy?
I thought you never asked.
So is that a yes?
Yes.
Well, would you look at that, darling? Our plan works.
My plan, Freddie dear. My plan.
Some of the states have ratified already: Wisconsin, Illinois, and Michigan.
Add to the list Kansas, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and Texas.
2 more. Iowa and Missouri.
And Arkansas ratified just moments ago.
Montana, Nebraska,
Minnesota, New Hampshire,
Utah.
California, and Maine, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Colorado.
And we welcome in the new year with a veritable grocery list of states that have ratified the 19th Amendment. Kentucky, Rhode Island, Oregon, Indiana, Wyoming.
Nevada, New Jersey, Idaho, Arizona, New Mexico, and Oklahoma. That's 33. Only 3 more to go.
West Virginia, only 2 more.
Washington State, we only need 1 more.
Still no new ratifications?
No.
How much longer for 1 more state do you think?
Don't worry, it's only been 2 months since the last 2 states ratified.
Nothing. Tennessee has ratified the 19th Amendment. Equal suffrage is now part of the Constitution of the United States. We did it.
Oh, I wish Anna Shaw could be here to see this.
I know. But just think, she was the president of the National American. In a way, she's sort of like a mother to all women voters of the nation, and all the women voters still to come.
Oh, she would love that.
The vote is your emblem of equality, women of America. This vote has cost millions of dollars and the lives of thousands of women. Money usually only given as a sacrifice. And thousands of women have gone without things that they wanted and could have had in order to get you the vote.
Women have suffered an agony of soul that you will never comprehend, that you and your daughters might inherit political freedom. That vote has been costly, so prize it.
The vote is a power, a weapon of offense and defense, a prayer. Understand what it means and what it can do for your country.
Use it intelligently, conscientiously, prayerfully.
No soldier in the great suffrage army has labored and suffered to win a place for you. Their motive has been the hope that women would aim higher than their own selfish ambitions, that they would work to serve the common good.
The vote is won. 72 years the battle for this privilege has been waged. But human affairs with their eternal change call to you to make no pause. Progress is calling to make no pause. Act.
Anna, my darling, you will get to grow up in a world where your voice will always be heard. You will never know what it is like to not be able to vote.
And your mom and dad? We don't care which side you take, as long as you raise your voice and use it well.